Probably.
Okay. Did I not? Welcome into the Waterloo Blackhawks draft recap. My name is Elijah Bond. I'm joined by Alex Kane and
Hello.
Alex. The Blackhawks concluded their draft on Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah, I think they picked up some good pieces to fill holes and took some flyers on late round picks that, if they can give them to Waterloo, should make a difference in the future.
Yeah, some of the late phase two picks really caught my eye when I was doing some background research coming into this. We'll get into that later, but players like River Freeman and Caleb Malhotra. I think I'm saying that right. If
Yeah.
I'm not, please correct me. So here's how this is gonna roll. We are gonna go through pick by pick, starting with phase one, which for those of you that don't know is the quote futures draft. So they will have the chance to become Blackhawk skaters and goalies later on, year or two down the road. And then phase two are players that have junior experience that are not on a team's protected list. So a team gets a protected list every year, and those players cannot be picked up by other teams. So players that are not on other teams' protected lists or um, are starting their junior hockey career can be picked up in phase two. So we're going to go through pick by pick. I'll say what I have to say. Alex will say what he has to say, and then we'll take questions for those who have them. We're going to wait a couple more minutes for people to get in here, and then we will get started. As of right now, in Game 2 of the Clark Cup Final, it is Fargo 4, Dubuque 3, with Charlie Aaron at 9:17 from Seamus Powell, his fourth assist of the playoffs, and it's a one-goal game in North Dakota. Hampton Slukinski played, in my opinion, out of his mind in the third period last night. Is 26 for 28, and Kevin Radler, who also played pretty well, is 18 of 21. Let me send this link out. Okay, we got a few people in here. So the first pick for the Blackhawks on Monday was with the 8th overall pick, which technically was about the third or fourth, maybe fifth pick, because teams like Omaha, Fargo, and Cedar Rapids used tenders. They picked up Noah Davison, 2008 born skater. He scored over a point a game, 61 points in 54 games. Uh, 2 points, a goal and an assist in the U16 Nationals. And according to Alex, he is the 31st overall prospect for 2008, according to Neutral Zone, who did the USHL coverage for the draft.
Yeah, I say, and then on, I think it was Facebook Reel or Instagram Story, Brent Chiswick was saying that they were going to try to bring him in as a tender signing this year, but he wanted to go back to Shattuck to progress for another year, which no one's going to rush anyone to come up when they're not ready, and then drowned out and struggle for a year and hurt their development. We got plenty of depth, and with phase 2, we can add it to that and give them a year to develop, and should be on the team next year, I would hope.
Yeah, next year is going to be a really rough one. This one was a really rough one for forward depth that we are losing. So, and it's going to be the same case next year. This year we had the likes of Griffin Erdman, among others that are leaving. So next year is going to be the same way. So picking up Noah, it's going to be a big boost to the forward core for the Blackhawks. With the second round selection, the Hawks picked up Nick Bogus. I talked to Tim earlier in the week, and he said that his game has striking similarities of that to current Blackhawk Landon Nyes, who was fifth on the Blackhawks, or fifth overall in defenseman scoring in the league. He's 119th ranked.
Yeah, I'm looking quick. I thought I read somewhere that he had some NHL pedigree, father or something. But yeah, I mean, I think from what I remember, he's big, solid, be a good, solid defenseman when he gets some time to develop and get some ice time. I guess he's only standing at 5'11" right now, but 15 years old, they probably got another growth spurt or two.
Oh yeah,
and he's gonna be up there at Oakland. I think we've had like Owen Baker and a couple of Michigan guys come down from Junior Grizzlies or Honey Baked up there and been good producers for us. So hopefully that pipeline continues.
Yeah, I have real trust in Brent Chiswick and the scouts with the Blackhawks. They do a really good job. So at first, I really didn't understand this pick with taking a defenseman in the second round, but did some research, and I really do like this pick for the Blackhawks. With the third round pick for the Hawks, they picked up Caden Harvey, the Beaver, Pennsylvania native, played for the Pittsburgh Penguins Elite 15s, which I believe they play in the same arena that the Fall Classic is held at. He had limited stats available on Elite Prospects when I was doing the research coming into this, but he scored 2 goals to go along with 4 assists in the USA's S15 tournament. Names such as James Higgins, Cole Eiserman, and Frank Nazar, which I believe all of them played for the NTDP. They all played in that same tournament. He is the 60th ranked prospect.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't know how much to add to that. The way Brent Chiswick made it sound in some of his interviews, it sounds like they expected him to go higher, so that when he fell to him that far down the draft order, they were pretty happy with that. And it seems like that was a pretty common theme that a lot of the guys they were trying to target, they targeted someone else, and then someone else, a guy in that list that they were looking for, was still on the board available to them. So I think they got most of the guys they wanted.
Yeah, it's always interesting perspective, team by team, in all drafts, NHL, NFL, MLB, NBA, now into junior hockey, that certain guys that teams are targeting wouldn't be the guys that you think would go that low or that high. So getting that pick is really big for the Hawks. With the 4th round pick, 54th overall, they selected Cade Meyer, the 15-year-old from Lakeland High School, has 8 goals, 23 assists in 23 games. He played last season. He was one of 2 Blackhawk 4th round picks. He was 55th ranked overall.
Yeah, you get into the your high school ranks in Wisconsin, and you really start to wonder, the quality of hockey they play up there, just because it's not as big right now, but we've had good luck with some Wisconsin kids. Connor Capone was from up there, and I believe Mason McCormick that we got a couple years ago was also originally from Wisconsin.
Yeah,
and
that sounds
right.
We
know the type of player that Connor Capone was, and That's what we need back in Waterloo. We need the Capones and the Sorensens and Palmers that can put the puck in the net, but if they need to hit somebody, they can hit somebody.
Yeah, that power forward type is a type of player that Waterloo really lacked this past season. So getting that pick, that could go a long way for the Hawks in a couple of years, because who
I
knows
think
what.
I think Morick and Deering next year will take a big step in that. I mean, just watching both of them this entire season, their development was insane. Like, Deering was honestly reminding me about like Hillman, a little more gritty than Hillman, but he was just always there on the doorstep waiting for a rebound or just a quick tap in. I mean, he worked hard for his goals and was rewarded when he was at net front. So
Right. Yeah. I think the most improved player from September to April was, in my opinion, Grady Deering, because it's well known, at least in my opinion, that he was cut from the Des Moines Buccaneers a season ago, and then Waterloo picked him up. And he's it took him a bit, but he got rolling that late in the season. So I think the offseason work will do wonders for him in the Blackhawks training system. With the 58th pick, so just 4 picks later, the Blackhawks selected Liam Schultz, the 5'8" forward out of. 1 second here.
yeah, Minnetonka Bantam Double A. So I mean, you're talking a little lower tier of hockey than what most of our guys come from. But I think that's got mostly to do with he's 5'8", 119 pounds, so he's just smaller in stature. He's just got to get a little beefier, and I would assume he'd be stepping up to Minnetonka's varsity team or at least JV team this year. And Minnetonka's puts out insane hockey prospects every year, so
yeah, it seems like multiple programs up in Minnesota put out USHL caliber prospects every year, and it seems like every year at least a couple of them thrive in junior hockey. So 5 goals, 7 assists in unspecified amount of games last year via elite prospects. So that could be swaying depending on how many games he played. He's the 132nd ranked overall prospect. The Blackhawks didn't have a pick in round 5. They moved on to round 6, where they picked 2 players. With pick 80, they selected Owen DeGraff. This is probably my favorite pick in phase 1 for the Hawks. An Odessa, Florida native. So Florida, I mean, not really known for producing junior hockey and college hockey level prospects, but every once in a while, a forward out of there or defenseman out of there comes and is really successful. And as a 16-year-old, 26 goals, 51 assists in 78 games. And that assist number really stands out to me as a forward.
Yeah, I mean, looking at his elite prospects, he did the exact same thing last year too, and he's good numbers to show. He can put the puck in the net, but he doesn't have to rely on that. He makes his teammates better, and if you're out there with him, you're gonna get yours about like our Thorson, Altrichter Mustard line. Thorson went, I don't know, was it 10, 15 games to start the year without a goal, but I think by then he had 20 assists. So you don't have to be putting the puck in the net to be having success. So
right, and especially early on in the season, it was a nice combination between John Mustard and Gavin Thorson, with just feeding the puck to Mustard, because like you just said, you don't need to be scoring all the time to be a successful forward. And I think that is what Owen DeGraff is. I think he's more of a playmaker type forward than a sniper type forward that we saw on John Mustard. With the 83rd pick, so just 3 picks later, the Blackhawks finally selected a goalie on Monday, Jacoby Weiner. Weiner, I don't know how to pronounce that last name.
Okay,
So
Chiswick pronounced it Jacoby Weiner, which
Jacoby Weiner.
whatever. Yeah.
Okay. Jacoby Weiner. That makes sense. So Weiner, a 6'3", 15-year-old. That's eye-popping, in my opinion. 6'3" as a 15-year-old. As you said a few picks ago, the Blackhawks players will probably have a second growth spurt as 15-year-olds in this phase 1. So to be 6'3" at 15, that would be really good if he were able to grow an inch or 2 by the time he got to Waterloo. He played 8 games according to Elite Prospects. He posted a .854 save percentage and a 3.50 goals against in 4 games played with Team White at the USA S15 tournament. And the other 4 games with the Mid-Fairfield Rangers 15U AAA club, he posted a 2.54 goals against and a .911 save percentage. 146th ranked overall.
Yeah, I say some of them numbers you see from those select camps can be so skewed because you got guys that are there just trying to, stand out with their stick handling or whatever, and don't want to play defense. The other thing that jumped off me was, his kid's 6'3", but he's already 220 pounds, and these kids aren't going to be fat kids. So if he's already, if he's 6'3" and solid 220 pounds muscle, he's going to be strong on his skates. He's not going to get shoved off the post if someone's trying to crash the net. He's gonna make these kids earn getting the pucks in the net, and it'll be an interesting prospect to watch and see if he ends up in Waterloo or whatever. Because you don't see many 6'3", 15-year-olds that aren't on a basketball court.
Right. I mean, 6'3" at 15, if you told me he was 6'3" at 15, I would probably guess he'd be playing varsity basketball. But he is on a hockey team and got drafted by the Blackhawks. So, having said that, I hope he ends up in Waterloo because he could really help out. With the 7th round pick, 98th overall, the Blackhawks selected Leo Lashon, teammate of Caden Harvey. Lashon was selected in the 7th round, and in my opinion, he's a bit of a sleeper pick in phase 1. A defenseman in the 7th round, it's not really eye-popping. What is eye-popping is a 6'2", a 2008-born defenseman, 35 points in 57 games. That is eye-popping. 6'2", more than 2008. 35 points. So that is that could really help out.
I'm saying, looking at his elite prospects, you have him sitting here at positive 32 plus minus, and some people don't really care about that, but it just shows he's not out there loud. He's not probably he's out there for more good than he is bad, and he's got decent numbers for being 16-year-old defenseman. You don't got a lot of goals, but you get good assists and you get good deflections, getting pucks on net, and that's about all you can ask for. Goalie can't stop what you can't see if you got a teammate in front deflecting from your shot from the point. So
yeah, I haven't got the chance to watch a lot of film on these players, especially in phase 1, because there isn't a lot compared to the phase 2 players that already have junior experience. So I hope he ends up in Waterloo. I do, because the 6'2" defenseman at 15, that could really help. With the 8th round pick, it's one of 2 8-round picks. Pick 113, the Hawks selected Jackson Williams, 5'9", North Carolina native. The right winger posted 28 goals, 15 assists, and 43 games played with the Carolina Junior Hurricanes. He also posted 2 goals in 3 games at the U15 Nationals. ranked 58th overall.
I'd say this is another one of those where North Carolina pick is kind of a random state to be coming from for hockey, but he looks like I just found that his dad last played in the NHL in 2019-20. So
Oh, yeah, that could.
he's he's got that NHL pedigree. He's been around the NHL game. Kid growing up watching it. Good numbers. Looks like he's got 79 penalty minutes last year. So whether that's just bad stick penalties or if he's out there standing up for his teammates and roughing it up, at 5'9", a little scrappy guy. Those are the guys you got to watch out for on the ice most of the time because you don't even see him coming, and then you're on the ice. It'll be another interesting development. Kind of a smaller lightweight kid, and seeing what kind of muscle he can pack on and just become a solid hockey player.
Right. Before we move on, Fargo has won 6-3 over Dubuque. Max Swanson again, as he did last night, potted a empty net goal, fit to the playoffs. So series shifts back to Iowa with Dubuque on the brink. And in my opinion, Fargo has been really dominant.
Yeah, I say Dubuque got off to a hot start, and then Fargo kicked him square in the groin at the end of the first period, with 2 goals in 30 seconds. On a little more of a personal note, it's going to double-edged sort of being able to say I'm going to cheer for Max Swanson next year when he's at North Dakota, but it feels kind of weird going from North Dakota having I'm drawing a blank. Reese Gaber from Dubuque, you spend 2-3 years cheering against him in Waterloo, and then he goes to college you watch and tears up the NCAA for 4 years. So it's fun watching these kids develop from the USHL and going to college and tearing it up, and then now signing their NHL/AHL deals. And he's another one of those kids. He came out of Wisconsin, came to the USHL as a little more under the radar prospect, tore it up here, went to college, tore it up, and he's making money playing hockey.
Yeah, it's an interesting perspective because, like Jack Drury, he played in Waterloo and he had that month and a half long point streak, 20 some odd games, and I go down to Des Moines quite often and watch that a while. Then he, as an affiliate of the Chicago Wolves last year, he really tore up the ice in Des Moines. So I get where you're coming from. Not cheering for him, then cheer for him, and then cheer for him, and then
yeah.
So back to the picks here. With the final pick of Phase 1 for the Hawks, they selected James Reber. Being selected with 120, the 5'11 defenseman played with the Chicago Reapers last season, and he is 111th overall bank.
I say I don't got too much to add here. I mean, he's just your typical 5'11", 154 pounds average. We don't got any stats the last 2 years on elite prospects, so I don't know what's going on there. Probably just not updated from the team he played for, but yeah, it's just another one of those. It's a late round pick in Phase 1. You may or may not see him. I mean, who would have thought last year we would have seen Landon Nyes in Waterloo this year?
Right.
10th round Phase 1, you don't expect that, but I mean, anything can happen if they come into camp and catch the coach's eye, and it goes from there.
Right, and Tyler Vachon is coming back is huge, and we'll get into that later on because with the Blackhawks selected 3 goalies in Phase 2, and right now, I mean, Alex and I can say this: the Waterloo goaltending situation is confusing right now with whatever's going on with Jack Spicer. Is he coming
information
back?
coming from both ways.
Yeah, is he coming back? Is he not? Joe Green says he's coming back. His dad says he's not. So right now, it's up in the air whether the Blackhawks will have 2 returning goalies. So we will We'll see. And as of right now, I would, if I defend on a selection or a prediction rather, I would say that one of these three goalies is going to be in Waterloo next year,
Yep.
either as an e-bug or a backup or an affiliate. One of them is going to be in Waterloo at least once. With the first round pick for the Hawks in Phase 2, so some of these players will be playing for the Hawks next season. Brendan McMorrow, and if that name sounds familiar, it's because he played with the NTDP, and I think he scored a goal against the Blackhawks in the one game in Plymouth. If not, both games when they came to Waterloo.
He wouldn't have been in Waterloo. That was the U17 team.
Oh well, there you go. So I think he did score a goal in Plymouth against the Hawks. So in 5 goals, 11 assists, and 27 games played, the 5'11", 190-pounder Lakeville Minnesotan has 1 year of junior eligibility remaining and is ranked 147th in the latest and the last NHL scouting, NHL Central scouting list for North American skaters.
Yeah, saying when you're looking at the numbers for some of these Team USA guys, you gotta they're kind of skewed because like Neutral Zone was saying, that's where I'm gonna get a lot of my information from. McMorrow, he played a lot of depth role, just filling ice time when your stars Cole Iserman and guys like that were on the bench taking a breather. But it sounds like he probably played a lot of on the penalty kill to just be used to that, come in, probably slot right onto the penalty kill. And yeah, your Team USA guys, they play together for 2 years in a row, so they know each other, and they don't do a whole lot of switching up because once they get settled into a role, they keep them there, and that's what they just come out. Fundamentally sound, good hockey players. Waterloo's had good luck between Joe Cassetti and Ryder Rolston, so I think this is going to be another one in the line of it, and he's going to be seeing a lot of his former teammates. From what I've been seeing on Twitter, is a lot of these Team USA guys that are slated to be going to college next year are coming back because these colleges they want another good year of development, and they're still kind of feeling that backlog from COVID of the extra eligibility.
Right.
And now with the transfer portal, you don't need to bring a freshman in when they're not ready. You can go get a guy that's played a year somewhere else in college and is used to college that can come in and slot in middle 6 or top 4D and be serviceable for a year and give your star recruit more time to develop in a lower league.
Yeah, I think Ryan Sykes, who I trust and I follow on Twitter for a lot of my junior and college hockey news. I think he said that 5 NTDP players got picked by USHL clubs in the first round. So McMorrow is not alone with being a first round pick. Tyler says that he wished Mustard comes back, but it's very unlikely. Yeah, it is. He has a very enticing offer to go play in the OHL next season if he doesn't choose to come back to Waterloo. He has the option to go in the OHL, which is closer to his home, or obviously he has the option to go play at Providence next year for the Friars.
It sounds like the Providence thing is a for sure deal. Pretty much, it'll be him, Connolly, and I think it was like Alex Bales from Tri City are going to be there. 3, like highlighted prospects coming in this recruiting cycle, and you got to expect that. You have a young kid like that come in and tear it up from day one, damn near. You're not going to hold on to him very long. I think we were lucky to keep him after Christmas. If they wanted to bring him in, they really could have just pulled him out after Christmas, but you don't want to do that most of the time in the middle of the season anyway.
No, I think at one point he didn't score for, I think it was 7 or 8 games, but Before and after that, he was the regular John Mustard we quickly got used to seeing in Waterloo.
Yep.
Fargo did win 6-3. The series is shifting back to Dubuque Friday, with Fargo having a 2-0 lead. So, for my sake, I really hope Dubuque pulls it out on Friday, because my family and I think Alex is too. We are
Yep.
planning on going to Dubuque if a Game 4 happens. Is Tyler Miller coming back?
No.
Alex,
From what everything I'm seeing, he was a one and done. He'll be he'll be was it Michigan Tech, I believe, next year. Which that's what most of your Canadian kids like that. He was what 2 year AJHL or BCHL guy.
yeah,
Most of the time their colleges want them to come get is used to North America, United States hockey compared to some of the Canadian hockey. Then they're gone. So it sucks, but yeah, the season ticket holder email had Compton, Felicio, uh, Mike Phelan, and then one other one. Let me look quick. Scroll down. Landon Nyes, though. That's the obvious one.
yeah. I really was impressed with Tyler Miller's game at the tail end of the season, February onward. I was really impressed with how he played, and he was a regular starter for the Hawks down the stretch. So it does suck because he played outstanding. But as you said, most of the Canadian guys, they get a season of American hockey under their belt, as you see John Mustard did the same thing. Got a year of USA hockey under the belt, and now they're going to go off to college. So, yeah, it does suck with Miller and Mustard, but it's pretty normal.
I say it's part of it.
With the second round pick, the Hawks selected Ryan Zaremba. I think
Sounds right to me.
Zaremba. For those who don't know, the AJHL and the BCHL had a bit of drama this past season, with teams departing in the middle of the season, leaving each league with skewed schedules. So, as a part of Sherwood Park Crusaders, he had 56 goals in 56 games played. That is combined between the AJHL and the BCHL, including 14 goals. He is committed to play at Minnesota Duluth next season. So, as previously stated with Tyler Miller and John Mustard, can Brent Chiswick, Matt Smaby, and the rest of the coaching staff work together to get Ryan and Waterloo? We'll see. But he is currently slated to play at Minnesota Duluth.
Yeah, I say it's one of those cases where, like, even McMorrow, if you look on Elite Prospects, it has him going to Denver next year. But there's no way at this point a coaching staff's going to waste the first or probably even the second round pick on a guy that is 9 times out of 10 going to college next year and neutral zone, which they do a lot of, obviously, little kid, teenager USHL, college scouting, and draft class rankings and recruiting class rankings. They don't have him going to Duluth next year, so I think I'd bank on him being in Waterloo, and looks like he'll come in and be a good point producer, and probably start out in a bottom 6 role, and if he can play his way up, or just give that good solid depth scoring that can put in 40-50 points a year and be a solid player for us, hopefully.
With the third round pick, one of 2 third round picks, the Hawks selected Brady Peddle. Earlier on in the off season, a few days after the Blackhawks got eliminated by Lincoln, it was announced that Will Felicio would return to the Hawks next season. So that is a big boost. But still, according to a list that Alex Kane posted on the the Facebook fan page for the Blackhawks, Waterloo's defense depth next season was lacking, and it got a big boost with the selection of Petal, the 16-year-old Canadian. Got 16 goals and 31 assists playing for Bishop Kearney, 16U AAA club. He's committed to play at Michigan State in the 26-27 season.
Yeah, if we get him onto the team next year, which being a '07 birth year, he's right there on the kind of borderline of waiting a year coming up. But I believe he would have been a teammate this year of affiliate Chase Jete. But yeah, you're talking he's 6'2", 185 pounds. Comes from NHL pedigree. His dad, I think, played for the Blue Jackets and is now a scout for the Blue Jackets. He was, a college coach up in Canada. Interesting enough, he's from Nova Scotia, and I can't, for off the top of my head, think of any Nova Scotia players, but Waterloo's had. But I think Chiswick's got a pretty good handle on getting these defensemen out of Canada that can come down and step right in, run a power play unit like Tyler Miller, or now Ben Robinson wasn't Canadian, but got him from Omaha in a trade that year, and he came in and just was nothing but a point producer for us on power play and getting pucks to the net for deflections or rebounds. And I think Chiswick and maybe are figuring out what it takes to build a USHL roster to succeed, and we can see that from year one to now. This year, as bad as it ended, was really a good year. We only we lost what we lost, and we only lost 5 wins off of a 40-win season the year before. So I think they're going to be able to build a consistent contender in the league.
Right, and a big turning point from the last year of the PK O'Hanley era to the first year in the Matt Spavey era, and then this year, in my opinion, was the power play. And as you said, Tyler Miller was on that power play, and for the longest time, the power play was top 5 in the league. So it's, again, another one of those situations where a Canadian defenseman can come in and produce, hopefully, on that power play.
Yeah, I'm saying that's the biggest thing I've noticed since PK. Blackhawks hockey is like actually fun to watch now. Like, don't get me wrong, PK had good teams; it was fun to watch, but you could just see the older style of play, and power plays was pass around the outside, try to get the defense out of their lanes, and just hope you get a puck in. Whereas now, we got defensemen pinching, and then they got to account for that. We got good mobile defensemen that can join the rush, start the rush. I mean, do whatever. So it's just a little bit different style hockey. I think it's more fun to watch, more aggressive, more in your face. If you're going to get down the ice to our end of the rink, you have to earn it. We're not just going to let you skate out of your D zone through neutral zone, get in there. So,
and again, like you said, the physicality of the Matt Spavey teams compared to the PK O'Hanley teams, whereas there's been games where I came in and I thought that it'd be close, 2-goal games, maybe a 1-goal game, an empty netter. Like, one of those games for me this season was Muskegon.
Yep.
Where I thought, okay, they have multiple possible first-round picks coming in their lineup, like Sasha Boisvert and Mate Ridden. I thought that they would have a more effect on the game than they did, and I think that is a contribution to Matt Spavey and the way he coaches compared to PK O'Hanley. In that game specifically, Hawks got out early and often, and the defense just didn't play. Okay, we're up by 4. Let's back off a little bit. They played like they played when it was 0-0 early in the first period. So I think that's one of the things that the Blackhawks can improve on, build on it next year, and the pick of Brady Petal will help that. With the third round pick for the Hawks, the 43rd overall, Caden Hawkins. Caden was Um, 18-year-old. He had a whopping 91 points in 71 games played in the regular season. He scored 7 goals in 6 games at the U18 Nationals. He's committed to play at the University of St. Thomas, which I'll admit they are a new D1 program as of 2 years ago. So this next coming season in Waterloo or somewhere else could really draw some ire from other coaches in the college circuit.
Yeah, if I'd put my money on it, I'd say this kid's in Waterloo this year if he has a good camp. He's been playing 18U since 2001-22 or 2021-22. That would have put him 15 years old in that season for 18U AAA. He put up 100 points in a season. And Shattuck turns out prospects every year. So if I had my money on it, as long as no one else blows him out of the water, I'd say this kid ends up in Waterloo next year and probably slot right in on a power play. It's been proven that he can put pucks in the net or get pucks on net to allow teammates to get them in. So
just by looking at him, I'm going to put Tyler's second comment up here. Now, John Mustard not coming back next year probably. Just by looking at Hawkins' stats and the little film that is available, he does remind me a bit of how John Mustard played this season. He could slot in on the power play, as you said, and be that sniper type player that the Blackhawks are going to need next year. With the 6th round pick, so the Blackhawks had about 36 exactly picks in between their 3rd round pick and their 6th round pick. They took Phyllis Lachey. I hope I say that right because he's Swiss. So I think I said that right. The 6'3", 17-year-old was the first goalie of a couple that the Blackhawks took. He's draft eligible in June. And you said this, and I agree with you, that if he's drafted, he'll come over and play in Waterloo next year.
Yeah, I say most of these goalies, they're his stats for his league games this year are pretty good. They don't. I don't think overseas they track save percentage because a lot of times you don't see it. But he's given up 2 goals, 2.27 goals a game. But I mean his World Junior stats aren't good. But you're on a team like Switzerland playing teams like Canada, Sweden, Finland, America. You're on an island out there. And yeah, if this kid's drafted, whether he comes over to Waterloo or his scout or not his scouts, but his agents and the team that drafts him want him in North America, whether it's the United States or North American Hockey League, I almost guarantee he's over here somewhere just because it's easier for them to track, and he's going to be facing a lot better competition to get better and probably have better coaches and just better surroundings to develop.
Yeah, Lachey, I hope I'm saying that right. He reminds me of a lot about Jesper Wallstedt, who is currently the number 1 goalie prospect for the Minnesota Wild. He played in Des Moines for the Iowa Wild this past season. And last year was his rookie season for Wallstedt. And to be realistic with you, he struggled early on. He's 0-4. And a lot of that, I think, is playing on a smaller ice surface overseas than over here in America at the pro level. So I'm not saying it's going to translate the same way, but a season over here in America, whether it be in Waterloo or somewhere else, could do wonders. In 2 games for the Swiss in the Hlinka Gretzky Cup, he played a pair of games, 1.99 goals against average and a .882 save percentage. And as a Swiss goalie, I think that's pretty good. The Blackhawks picked 3 picks later with Morgan Brady. Morgan was the 2nd defenseman drafted by the Blackhawks on Tuesday. He had 2 goals and 11 assists last year with the Langley Rivermen of the BCHL. Brady is committed to play at Arizona State with Tucker Ness in 2025-26 season. That is according to Elite Prospects.
Yeah, I think this, weirdly enough, I had to do a double take when they popped up on the draft tracker. Waterloo drafted this kid last year. I thought maybe he'd come up, but he went to the BCHL, AJHL route, and that whole predicament. But I think this could just be another one of those Bryn Chiswick draft picks. Just good, hardworking, athletic Alberta defenseman that he's used to that little chippier, tougher hockey. He can come in here and again, like Pedal, yeah, that probably can come in and slot right into a power play unit and run it, or like have him and Pedal, or I'm assuming Felicio Compton probably be one of your two power play guys next year, but you always need extra power play depth in case someone's hurt or just scratched for the game. So we've had pretty good luck with Chiswick getting these Alberta kids in, and they come down here and can play that firmer, a little more chippy hockey and not be deterred by it.
And so the Blackhawks actually had 4 6th-round picks from the looks of it. 4 6th-round picks. With the 86th overall pick, they selected Cale Dock. Cale was teammates with Ryan Zaremba. He scored 10 goals and 27 assists in 37 games played. So exactly a point-a-game player. The 5'10" center is committed to play at Penn State.
Yeah, I say, at this point in the draft, maybe not 6th round yet, I guess, but with phase 2, you got to look into, draft or birth years too, because a lot of times they still will draft for affiliate lists, maybe not, full contention to Waterloo, but, all these kids, I would assume, are going to end up in Waterloo or Minnesota, wherever Waterloo has their main camp this summer at. Comes in, if he produces if he comes in, stands out, and has a chance to make the preseason roster for a chance at the regular season roster, you just never know. Point back to Landon Nyes last year, would have never guessed that a 16-year-old defenseman would come in and impress enough to make the opening day roster, but
and
he
Landon
did and played good.
Yeah, and Landon played extremely well for being a 16-year-old. In my opinion, he was one, if not the best defenseman that was with the Hawks the whole year, as Will Felicio obviously came in later on in the year. But and Dylan Compton is up there too, but he didn't come on a lot until he played a couple of games, and I believe January as an affiliate, and then he got signed on for the rest of the regular season. So, Landon Nyes played really well. So hopefully, one of these later draft picks, we still got a lot of them to go through, Alex, will end up in Waterloo. With the 7th round pick, one of 2 7th round picks, the Blackhawks selected 97th overall, Jacob McDonald.
You skipped one. You skipped Peckham.
Oh, did I? Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Round 6, 92 overall, Sam Peckham. Apologize for that. 2nd 6th round pick for Waterloo. In the Minnesota high school season with a Dyna. 23 assists in 31 games played. The 5'11" right-handed defenseman, the 2007 born.
Yeah, I mean, he's up there. Teammates with Jackson Nevers, won a state title. They don't track plus minus, so you can't really look anything there. But he's just shy of a point per game as a defenseman, which obviously in Minnesota high school and being on a Dyna, numbers get inflated a little bit. But he appears to be a solid defenseman. Come in here, get some pointers, have a chance to make the team, and probably if he does make it, he could be another one of the before and afters. And you can't pass up going back to win another state title with your childhood friends. So it'll just be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, and as you said, he was teammates with Jackson Nevers, and if Nevers does come back next season, which I believe he's slated to come back, that could do one for him.
Say the email said he was, and then what I've been seeing on some of the Minnesota Gophers websites, it sounds like unless they lose a bunch of guys to transfer or sign NHL deals, we could almost have Nevers for another 2 years, but I wouldn't hold my breath for that. I'd I'd be excited for one, and if we get two, great.
So with round 797, as I said earlier before I skipped one, Jacob McDonald. And if that name sounds familiar to any older Blackhawk fans coming and tuning in tonight, uh, it's because the Blackhawks did have a Jacob McDonald that is currently in the NHL. Most recently with the struggling San Jose Sharks, who got the first overall pick um, in the draft lottery this past week. So McDonald was a seventh-round pick for Waterloo. Size, as was heavily noted by fans and by management and by others, that size was a need for the Blackhawks coming into Tuesday, and that helped. This pick helped. 6'2", 190 pounds, currently committed to UMass Lowell. This upcoming season, 44 games played for the Lone Star Broncos of the NAHL. He potted 22 goals and 19 assists.
Yeah, if he doesn't go to college and he comes back, to Waterloo next year, he played, Lone Stars in the South Division of the NAL, and they have a nickname. They call it the Dirty South. It's damn near the Wild Wild West down there. Half the fight videos from the NAHL you see is almost always Southern Division, and then just old school chippy, hard hitting hockey. So he's going to be able to come in, take the physicality, not get short arms from it, and try to avoid it. He brace it, maybe get a little chippy, stand up for his teammates. But it doesn't. You don't see that in his numbers. He's only got 10 penalty minutes last year, so I wouldn't say he's much of a fighter or scrapper. But if that's the role he slots into in Waterloo, that's the role he slots into. And you don't know what's going to happen over the course of a season.
With pick 101, a seventh-round pick, the Hawks selected Carter Casey. And in my opinion, he's earned the right to challenge Phyllis Lachey and Carter Richardson, which we'll get into in later on, for the number 2 spot behind Calvin Vachon. If affiliates or draft picks from previous seasons don't come in, they've earned the right to a challenge for that number 2 spot. In 17 games played with Grand Rapids High, he had 2.42 goals against average and a .913 save percentage. With Team The Base, he played 12 games with a 4.52 goals against average. So Carter Casey is an interesting pick to me because the Blackhawks, according to you, let me pull this up here, they have Owen Bresson.
Yeah, he was a phase 2 pick last year. And it's one of those ones, without knowing what the affiliate list is sitting at, I can only, kind of assume / guess he got placed on there because this past year, I think he was, he was like 91, 92% save percentage in BCHL, and a couple goals against. He's had a pretty solid year with Victoria up there. But you don't know if he's an actual affiliate or if he got drafted but never added to the list. So then he's just gone in the wind. You don't know, no communication of what the affiliate list is. 4 years ago when they posted the opening day roster, you got to see who was on your affiliate list. It was a big PDF file, and now that's gone, which irks me because I'm the type of guy I like to follow who could possibly be playing for Waterloo in the future, just like you would.
Mm-hmm.
Your professional team watching, AHL, or even down to like the Heartlanders with the ECHL. Those guys probably won't make it pro, but it's fun to watch them and track where they go from there. So
yeah, it does irk me a little bit, as it does you, because I look up the affiliate list coming into trying to do this research, and 2021 or 2020, 21. So that's on USA Hockey, which,
yep.
So not having that really leads us to guessing who's on that affiliate list because, really a guess and check because
Yep.
you don't know. Um, the Blackhawks had round 8 off, and with round 9 pick 130, they selected Theodore Mulgrave. Theo is a 6'2", 180-pound defenseman. He had 32 total points in 64 total games. He is currently committed to play at St. Lawrence University in the 2025-26 season.
Yeah, let me see. I'm getting them pulled up. I don't know much off the top of my head. Yeah, I mean, they're tall, 6'2", 190-pound defenseman. He's been, he's been around, but seems like he seems to be coming back to Kent school. Those East Coast guys always have a little more scrap to their game, and I think that's just more of your typical, Boston, New York, New Jersey kind of. I wouldn't. I don't. I'm not trying to dog the upbringing, but you just kind of gotta be a bulldog over there. You just there's enough people there that you have to fight for your way to get through school or through hockey or anything in life. So they just come in with that chippiness and just another good solid defense prospect that if he comes in, it looks like he'll be able to produce for us and hopefully have a good career before he goes off to St. Lawrence.
With the 10th round pick 145, the Hawks selected Casey Coyle. He has 1 year of junior eligibility left. He played north of the border these past 2 seasons. Last year with the Niverville Nighthawks, 52 points in 57 games. The 6', 187-pounder had 16 goals. So another case where a player north of the border comes down to America to play a season. So I don't know the odds of him coming to Waterloo, but if he does, I would say he would produce.
Yeah, I mean, we just had that this year with Carson Reed. He came to us from Niverville, and he came in without a college commitment. Just from being the Manitoba Junior Hockey League up there, probably isn't as well scouted as the AJHL or BCHL up there. Comes down here for a year, gets a scholarship somewhere, and goes on to college. But yeah, he puts up points and 141 penalty minutes. So you can only assume being a defenseman, there's some scrappiness in there. I don't think you'd have to work hard to take 141 minutes of penalty just tripping or cross checking. So yeah, I mean, if he's not here, I would assume he's back up in Canada with Niverville next year, but we just don't know until camps roll around and maybe get some rumors going around Twitter and see what we see. But he looks solid, well built defenseman to come in and keep guys out from our net.
With the 11th round pick 160, the Hawks selected River Freeman. This is a draft pick that probably, I'd say it's about an 85-15 chance he ends up in Waterloo because he signed a tender with his hometown Null team, NAHL, with the Minnesota Wilderness for next season. But if he does end up in Waterloo, he'd be a player to watch, in my opinion. And in the 31 games, he scored 23 goals for a total of 49 points. So, again, I don't know that he will end up in Waterloo, but if he does, he could be on my radar for a depth piece.
Yeah, I say you never know. You could have the pull of the USHL over the Null, but yeah, like I would bet on him, staying home for a year, developing, getting out of high school, being able to, just focus on hockey, maybe getting some college classes online done, and sit on the affiliate list if we have someone goes on IR or we run into another instance this year of where some of the Canadian kids come down, don't have as good of a game as they thought they were going to, so they go back home. He can come in and step in. Middle of the year and go from there. It would just be a wait and see piece, or if he has a good year on and with Minnesota Wilderness, stays on the affiliate list, we protect him next year, and he ends up down here the year after and plays a year of USHL before he goes to college because he he doesn't have a commitment as of right now, so he's still got some leeway of what years he's going to be playing junior hockey.
Right. With the 12th round pick for the Hawks, pick 173, they selected Carter Richardson. So, as I said earlier, they selected 3 goalies, and this is the final one they selected. And pull up Tyler's comment here. Vashon coming back is huge, but who's going to be that number 2 piece? And in 30 games with the Maine Nordiques, he had a 2.33 goals against average and posted a 929 save percentage.
Yeah, I say if I was putting money on it, obviously Vashon's going to be back. I would say number 2 goalie, is either going to be Richardson or Lachey. I'd almost probably give the nod to Richardson just because he's older, a little more experienced. But it could be another case of when we brought Spicer in. That summer after his rookie year, before this year, he was on a podcast with some of his buddies from back east, and when he came into camp that year, it was Corrado, and then we had drafted Owen Millward, and they'd already bought Millward, his goalie gear, and we're expecting him to make the team. Spicer comes in, outplays him in the preseason, earns his way, comes in, and supports Waterloo on the run that we have that year. And I think this year for Spicer was a lot better than what his record showed, because he was in net just like Crowder was the year before when our team was trying to figure out who they were. And you can't argue. We saw the old Spicer right there after Christmas, because he went on an insane run, and that's what made his. That's what made his record as good as it did, because he got such a hole dug. I don't want to say for him or by him. It was obviously a team game, but there's no arguing that our defense was shaky to start the year. And just another side note on Richardson. So far in all playoffs, in 9 games, he has 2 shutouts, 950 save percentage, and 1.73 goals against.
Yeah.
And with all of that, his record's 5-3-1. Like, so he's getting no help, it looks like.
So what you're saying is he's balling out, but the team in front of him is getting no support.
Yeah. I say if you can't, if you've lost 4 games when you're giving up under 2 goals a game, you're just not getting the fire support, which that's another thing I've always, Vashon's good. I've always just liked the bigger goalies, because they don't have to work as hard to cover the net. Sometimes they're not as quick as Vashon making some of the side-to-side movements and saves. Yeah. But a good example is Michael Harabel for Omaha, not this past season, but the year before. He comes in 6'6", draft prospect. I think he was top 5 goalie in the league, but Omaha finishes last because they couldn't score to save their life.
Yeah. And the biggest contrast between Spicer and Vashon this past season was Jack seemed a lot more controlled in his game than Calvin did, and it sucks to see Jack go.
I mean, that's if he does go. We've obviously seen stuff both ways.
Yeah.
If he comes back, great. If he goes, all the luck to him, whether he goes to college. I was kind of looking more for him probably end up Null back east, in Maryland, or like Johnstown, Jamestown, something like that out there that have a team, somewhere out there closer to DC back home, so you can just, maybe get back into, a good flow of home life and just, change the scenery.
Yeah, because it really seemed like he struggled this season, and obviously post Christmas for a good month, he was the number 1 for Waterloo, and he played like he did last season. Last season, he played outstanding, and we saw that for a few games. But again, early on, he struggled. So if he does end up going, I would have to agree with you and give the number 2 nod to Carter Richardson, the 12th round pick. Moving on, the 13th round pick, pick 190 was Ryan Whiterabbit That's a great last name. That's 5'11", 170 defenseman in 27 high school games played for Gentry Academy. He had 38 points. 2006 born skater will add depth to the Waterloo Blue Line if he does make it to Central Iowa.
Yep, I say that's just another one of your, your 17, 18-year-old draft prospects that is going to come in, compete at camp. If he gets the nod, he gets the nod. If not, I would guess because he would have just graduated this spring. So I'm assuming he'd probably end up back, at Wisconsin Wendigo, where he played 6 games this year. So he'd be close if we keep him on the protected list to, monitor his progression. So
with the 14th round pick for the Hawks, pick 205, this is a pick that I'm not going to say I don't like it, because obviously it's early and we'll see it when we see it. But they selected Caleb Malhotra. In 69 total games, he has 67 points, 31 goals. Currently, now this is where it gets funny. Currently, he's slated to play for the Chilliwack Chiefs of the BCHL, but the highly touted skater has a decision to make, one that includes Waterloo. His father, Manny Malhotra, played 991 NHL games, and Caleb was the 8th overall pick in the OHL draft by Kingston. So he got a first round pick here. Then you got a 14th round pick here. The 2008 born Canadian could play in Waterloo next season. Is it likely? I don't think so as of right now.
Yeah, I mean, with your odds earlier of your goalie, I'd give it probably less than a 5% chance he ends up in Waterloo. Realistically, most of the time these big name Canadian skaters like this, they see that they're going to go early on in the, he would have OHL draft, so they don't want to go to a Niagara or I don't know. Niagara is just the one that I always see online of getting dogged because they're not good and don't have good management. But they use it. We saw this with Colin Fitzgerald. He'd signed a tender with Green Bay, got drafted by his hometown team, Peterborough, in the OHL draft, and then the day before USHL draft, signs with Peterborough because he went where I would assume where he wanted to go. These kids use it as a power chess piece over someone. You see just last year, it's like Henry Brustwich or something like that. He didn't want to play for Kitchener, so he wouldn't report. And then he got traded. I think he got traded to London Knights of OHL, and then reported because he went to a team he wanted to play for. I could be remembering that wrong, but it happens quite often. That's why some of these kids, they sign tenders with the USHL. That way they have that backup plan if they don't get drafted by who they want to. And obviously, USHL isn't always a backup plan because the development of the league, it cannot be argued of what we're putting out. And yeah, you can hear the guys say that, you guys are putting out Canadian prospects. You're not, it's not full on American, but they're still coming here. And if it wasn't a good league, they wouldn't be getting, drafted number 1 or top 10 or, even top couple rounds after playing the USHL. Yeah, I would say 9 times out of 10, he stays in Canada next year. Probably plays for Chilliwack. And then if he does go to Kingston or if he does want to go the college route, because that's another thing, when you sign to the CHL, you're signing your life away till you're 20 pretty much. You can't, unless you make an NHL roster out of the CHL, you can't leave until you're 20. Right. So these guys are, they're bound because it's basically getting a scholarship damn near from the league to go to school. And then if they don't go to, if they don't sign a pro deal after CHL, they get like a year scholarship to a Canadian university. So, they're they're set from there. They get a free year of college to decide what they want to do after that. So this is just a flyer pick, late round. You've got who you really want to draft. Probably you take a chance. If he comes to Waterloo, great. You got you know one of the top 10 kids in his birth year prospect in your team. And if not, you're not out much because you're later in the draft where 9 times out of 10 that's an affiliate pick or just a risk that you're if you get it you get a good reward. If not, you're not out much. So
Right. With the 15th round pick 220, the Hawks selected Miroslav Halinka, 18-year-old Czech. He had 54 points in 52 games played across league and international play. He's ranked 31st for European skaters.
and this is another. Go ahead.
That is according to the NHL Central Scouting.
Yep. Saying this is another one of those kids where, like with Lachey, if he gets drafted, I guarantee he comes over to the States, whether it's Waterloo in the USHL or if he goes Null or these type of guys can go. They have a import draft up in the CHL too. I mean, that's what happened with Youngstown. They lost. I can't remember his name, but one of their foreign guys last year. He ended up getting drafted by Erie of the OHL and went and played there this year. It was Martin Mishiak.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because Chicago wanted him up there to progress instead of, the USHL for whatever reason. But yeah, if he gets drafted and, being 31 for European skaters, I'm sure he'll go, 4th, 5th round somewhere in there, maybe later or higher. I mean, depending on who has him where on each individual team's draft board. But at 6'1", 183 pounds, you can't deny he'll come over here. And if he shows up in Waterloo, he'll have a good, imposing presence on the ice. I'm being from Czechia. He's probably got a pretty comparable play style to Andrei Seneca from a few years back.
Mm-hmm.
So, if it happens, it happens. If not, oh well.
With the 16th round pick, so second to last pick for the Hawks, to pick 235 overall, Landon Wright, 5'11", 180, 41 points in 50 games played during the regular season, 15 points in 19 playoff games. The Collingwood Blues won the regular season and playoff championships in the OJHL, and he's slated to go to Maine in 25 to 26 season.
Yeah, it looks like he's just a good solid point producer. 5'11", 180 pounds, just nice solid player out there, move guys out of the way. And obviously it looks like he doesn't had a good playoff run, almost a point per game, just like the regular season. So he seems like he'd be a good solid player if he ends up in Waterloo. And I believe he was also. Oh, never mind. I thought he was taken in a CHL draft somewhere, but he wasn't. But he's been drafted to a couple other leagues, so obviously there's other prospects out there seeing other scouts out there seeing what Waterloo scouts are seeing. So it's another one, whether it's for depth or a chance to push at a roster spot next year. We'll just have to see come September.
Right, and as you said, a lot of these late round picks, you got who you wanted to get earlier on, and so taking a shot with a lot of these late round picks. And this last one for the Hawks, round 17, pick 250, Jude Bray, 65 points in 88 games played at 16 years old, 37th overall player in the class of 2008. That's per neutral zone. 10th round pick of the current Kitchener Rangers in the OHL draft. He's currently signed to Sherwood Park of the BCHL.
Yeah, I say this is just another one of if he ends up in Waterloo in the future, great. Looking at his stats and his build, if he shows up, I could see him being, about like Ben Robertson, where he's just a good, Ben Robertson or Ben Finkelstein, too. I mean, crazy scoring defenseman that Waterloo's had. Just come in, run a power play, put pucks on net, get deflections, rebounds, or these kids aren't getting any less athletic. So, the way Waterloo plays, assuming he's probably a little more mobile, so he come in, join the rush, push a rush, pinch off the D or pinch off the blue line to keep a puck in the zone. It's just good. This is basically an extra futures pick since he's in 08, and you know with being that highly ranked, if we got him that late, if he shows up, great.
Yeah. So that will do it for the draft recap, but we are not done yet. Alex and I been talking, and we are going to start a Blackhawks podcast next season. It's yet to be determined if we're going to do a draft episode, but the plan as of right now is to do weekly episodes with a weekend recap of the last weekend, players to watch, among other things, and then a weekend preview this next season. So we're planning on doing that, and also I will have hopefully, if I can get everything set in stone, we'll have a radio segment next season with Tim Harwood talking about the Waterloo Warriors. Basically the same thing, but a lot shorter. Players to watch, upcoming weekend, where to watch, among other things. So it's we're gonna start it. We're gonna try it out, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yep, it should be fun. Try to be a little more vocal with some of the fans than what it seems like the staff is. That's the one thing that irks me with the one thing I saw this year Sioux Falls did season ticket holder jerseys. They partnered with Tidal Wave Sports. Obviously that takes money, but it's just some cool, and seems like sometimes the Waterloos can get behind on some of the fan relations that other teams do, and obviously they're running a lot of college age or high school age kids that are interns, so it's tough. You can't always have a full-time staff doing some of it, so I get it, but it's a little frustrating. You can go to Muskegon's website and they have their affiliates list right there on their website, and I think Dubuque does, or will post it right there before the season, so people know who's doing what that isn't a part of the team but could be in the future.
Right. And it seems, in my opinion, I have a great relationship with play-by-play voice Tim Harwood. He's been doing this for years now. He said he's been doing play-by-play for over 25 years. So, and it seems like a lot of the media relations stuff falls on him. So a lot of the social media stuff, like on during away games, he's the one posting the updates on Twitter and the other social media platforms. So a lot of it falls on him, and he's only one guy.
Yeah, no, I get that 100%.
So to compare
during the week, he's got a full-time job too.
Yeah, he's a radio talk show host for KXEL 1540, and he's also a decorated author and audiobook publisher. So he's a busy guy, and so that sucks. But seeing it compared to Fargo got everything college hockey guys in their arena, and a full behind the scenes tour.
Yep.
And Fargo, in my opinion, probably has the number one social media team in the league. Remind me a lot of a AHL, ECHL social media team, and how they're presented and how they run things. Seems like they're one of the most well-marketed teams in the league this past season, and for them to be one game away from winning the Clark Cup and winning and drawing a blank here and capping off a great season, an historic season in the USHL standards.
Yep.
That those two things probably aren't a coincidence.
Yeah, no, you're saying they it seems like some teams always have like a bigger staff too. And there's a lot of just little things that Waterloo's dropped off that is cool. And, now that I have a almost 4-year-old, it'd be cool to get her in there. When we first started season tickets, we still get physical tickets early. We got a little debit card basically. You'd go to Young Arena, they'd give you a meal, and then you hang out, walk around, pick your tickets up, and then you'd get tours with players. So you can go down and see the little workout area, their locker room, coaches' offices, and stuff like that. And that's dropped off with the virtual tickets, but you can still do season ticket holder party where you come in, meet the team, do a quick little tour, or they obviously do the scrimmage and autograph session now, which is cool and all. But it's just been fun seeing behind the scenes and getting like one-on-one time almost with the player. That was cool because in 1 year I bought Jacob Bankston's jersey, and he was the one that gave us the tour the year after. And he first thing he did is apologize because he had changed from 4 to 15, and I'm like, dude, if that's that I had followed him on Instagram, and that was his number back home in Sweden. So I'm like, if that's what reminds you of home, do it. I don't care about the number. If anything, a different number, later on in life, if he goes pro, has a good career, that could be like an Easter egg almost of, hey, I have this when he was this number in Waterloo instead of this number. Not that I ever plan on selling any of my stuff because it's not about the money, but it's just it's just cool like that, or just one-on-one. And even this year at that scrimmage, we'd always sit behind the bench. In last year, Spicer and Crowdo both noticed our daughter this year. Don't know if he did it on purpose, but we were doing the autographs, and Spicer had, I think it was probably a game used puck because it was all scratched up, and I have it up on my shelf. And I don't know if he waited for her, but we walked up and he handed it to her and it was signed. So it's cool little stuff like that you get from them. And, that's how you get the next generation into this and grow it, because, I think hockey's exploding right now. And in 20 years, you're going to have a lot more colleges. I firmly believe Iowa needs to add college hockey. They got that good arena there pretty much on campus. And you're going to draw a ton of college kids. If as dumb as it might be, you throw some beer specials out there. Look at Madison with their $1 beer nights. That's only 800 seats, but they jam that thing to the brim.
Yeah. We were fortunate enough this past season to go to an Iowa Hawkeyes hockey game. Played at Illinois State, 1:00, and then we came back for the Heartlanders game later that night. So
I think I saw you guys there because we were there too.
Yeah, doing something like that, but having it on an NCAA scale, not an ACHA scale, doing that, that could draw some crowds, and they had a ticket special going on.
Yep.
Buy tickets through the Hawkeyes, and you get tickets to the Heartlanders game. So we did that, and we had fun. So now imagine that on a bigger scale, NCAA scale, maybe not Big Ten, because Big Ten hockey is Power 2 conference in college hockey. So
yeah, I say if you get a program like that, they're gonna recruit, and especially with the transfer portal, you can build a pretty good contending team right away. And you got 5 teams to recruit from right here in Iowa for the USHL anyway. Just keep some kids in Iowa because it'd be a good vicinity, and you get in there, you get the marching band, spirit band, whatever you want to call it, in there, and the atmosphere would just be unreal.
The one drawback I would have of it would be having games on. The games they couldn't correlate with football.
Yep.
They would have to be either earlier in the day or later in the day. So say football team has a game at 11 or 2:30. That game is over at 5. Start the hockey game at 7. Something like that. That could put butts in seats. But right now, the current home arena is the Coral Ridge Mall, and that has bleacher seating on one side. That's about it.
Yeah.
So, and they play at 9:30 at night too. So just imagine those crowds.
Yeah. That's insane.
Yeah. So and they played a couple games at the M1 Ice Arena in Cedar Rapids in October. So um, yeah, getting Iowa team would be nice. Um, but that is going to wrap us up here for the Blackhawks draft recap. We will be back a couple months from now, probably for a camp episode, and to get us looking forward to the next season of Blackhawks hockey 2024, 25, 30 seasons at Young Arena. For Alex Kane, I'm Elijah Bond. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Blackhawks draft recap
All right.
on YouTube.
See you guys.